The rains have abandoned us.
Then we must stop waiting for the sky.
In this rewritten world, the great Maya cities never fall silent. The droughts still come. The rivalries still weaken alliances. Harvests still fail. Reservoirs still shrink beneath an unforgiving sun. The pressure still builds. But this time, the cities recognize the pattern before collapse becomes memory. Astronomers warn that the rains are changing. Farmers report exhausted soil. Engineers measure falling water levels. Merchants describe abandoned roads and struggling settlements beyond the great capitals. For the first time, rulers who once competed for prestige are forced to confront a danger no army can defeat. The cities begin to cooperate. Water systems are expanded. New reservoirs are cut into stone. Canals carry rainwater from distant hills. Wetlands are protected instead of drained. Farms are redesigned around drought-resistant crops, raised fields and forest gardens. Population is moved away from the most vulnerable districts before famine can empty them. The Maya survive not by resisting change, but by organizing around it. Old rivalries do not disappear. Kings still compete. Cities still argue over trade, territory and influence. But shared survival becomes more important than isolated power. A council of cities is created to manage water, food, roads, and astronomical records. Each member keeps its own traditions and rulers. But no city may control the water of another. No ruler may hide harvest failures from the network. And no drought may be treated as one kingdom's problem alone. The jungle does not swallow the cities. The cities learn how to live with the jungle. Over centuries, Maya civilization transforms into a network of observatory states. Each city watches the skies. Each city records time. Each city becomes part of a shared calendar system connecting agriculture, trade, ceremony, and government. Astronomical knowledge is no longer used only to mark sacred dates. It becomes a tool of survival. Records of rainfall, river movement, temperature, and harvests are preserved across generations. When one region enters a dry cycle, grain moves from another. When storms threaten the coast, inland cities prepare shelter. When forests weaken, construction slows until the land recovers. Time itself becomes infrastructure. The Maya do not attempt to freeze civilization in one perfect age. They build a society designed around cycles: growth, decline, rain, drought, abundance, recovery. Their cities change with the land instead of demanding that the land remain unchanged. New settlements are built around forests rather than clearing them completely. Homes use shade, airflow, and collected rainwater to survive extreme heat. Roads rise above sensitive wetlands. Urban gardens feed neighborhoods without requiring distant farmland. Temples remain centers of ceremony, but many also become observatories, archives, and schools. Knowledge becomes the strongest link between the cities. Maya writing continues to develop. Books record history, mathematics, medicine, law, and environmental observation. Children learn the names of rulers and gods, but they also learn how reservoirs function, how forests restore soil, and how the movements of the stars guide planting seasons. The great cities are no longer remembered as isolated monuments. They become living universities. When foreign ships eventually reach the region, they do not encounter abandoned ruins hidden beneath vegetation. They encounter organized states, densely populated cities, diplomatic networks, written laws, engineered water systems, and rulers who understand that unfamiliar visitors may bring both opportunity and danger. Contact still brings disease. Conflict still follows. Foreign powers still search for wealth, land, and division. But the Maya face them as a connected civilization, rather than scattered communities living among the remains of an older world. Some cities fall, others resist. Some form alliances with outsiders, others refuse them completely. But the civilization itself does not vanish. It absorbs new technologies while protecting its written knowledge. It studies foreign ships, weapons, and medicine. It negotiates from strength, and it carries its institutions into the modern age. By 2026, southern Mexico and Central America are home to some of the most advanced ecological cities on Earth. Stone pyramids still rise above green canopies, but they are not empty monuments surrounded by ruins. They stand at the center of living capitals. Solar terraces follow the angles of the sun. Water gardens filter and store rainfall. Elevated pathways cross forests without dividing animal habitats. Electric transport follows ancient causeways. Research towers align with stars that Maya astronomers have studied for thousands of years. Modern hospitals stand beside traditional healing gardens. Universities preserve ancient texts while developing climate science, astronomy, and ecological engineering. The cities are technologically advanced, but they do not measure progress by how completely they can dominate the landscape. They measure it by how long the landscape can continue supporting life. This is not a civilization frozen in the past. It is a civilization that used its knowledge of cycles to survive the greatest cycle of all, decline. But even here, survival remains fragile. The climate still tests them. Storms grow stronger. Rainfall becomes less predictable. Population places pressure on forests and water systems. Political leaders still promise growth beyond what the land can sustain. Companies argue that environmental limits are obstacles to progress. Some cities forget the warnings preserved in their own archives. Every generation faces the temptation to believe that ancient knowledge is no longer necessary, and every generation must relearn the same lesson. The Maya did not survive because they defeated nature. They survived because they understood that civilization is part of nature's cycle. In our history, the Maya are often imagined through abandoned temples and cities reclaimed by forest. In this rewritten world, those cities never become silent. Their languages fill schools and courts. Their books remain readable. Their astronomers continue watching the heavens. Their engineers continue listening to the water. And their greatest achievement is not simply that they endured. It is that they made time itself a foundation for the future. Because a civilization does not endure by conquering the world around it. It endures by noticing when the world is changing, and changing with it.